Okay, here's a refresher on using the distance formula two different ways. When you have a graph and you can actually count the distance, so this is what I recommend doing. So you have this line that you need to find this length right here. Distance equals. Well, create a right triangle. These are the x values because they are parallel to the x-axis. This right here will be the y values because it's parallel with the y-axis. And this notation right here, delta x, it means the change or the difference between the two x's. So if this is x1 and this is x2, well, look at 1, 2, 3. That's a distance of 3. So instead of putting whatever this x is, subtract this x, with the graph, you can just say, oh, we want a distance of 3. And now you can say 3 squared. And now you can count the y distance, 1, 2, also 3 squared. And then simplify. So that would be 9 plus 9, which is 18, but hold on, 18. 9 is a perfect square, so instead of writing 19, what you could do is write 2 times 9. 9 plus 9 is the same as 2 times 9, and now the square root of 9 can be canceled. We can pull out a 3. So in this instance, distance is equal to 3 times the square root of 2, be sure to close the parentheses, and then outside the radical sign, put units, and now go ahead and put the approximate. And oftentimes when you put the approximate, your teacher wants you rounding to the 10th place. So 3, if you've got a TI-30 calculator, you type 3, and then you hit second x squared, and that gives you a square root sign, type 2, close parentheses, enter, and that's after the 0.2, it does not force you to round up, so that's about 4.2 units. And we use the approximation symbol. All right, so now when we have a formula, here's a way to think about it. Here are our x's. Well, if you put that on an x-axis, look at what we have. We have between 6 and 7, or 7 subtract 6, that's a distance of 1. Now, if you need to, go ahead and put 7 subtract 6. But if you can say, oh, this is going to be this x subtract this x, that will be 1, then go ahead and skip this step. And then for the y's, visually, I should have put, since this is 6 and 7, I should have actually put this over here. Okay, well now look at this distance. Well, from 2 to 0 is 2. From 0 to negative 6 is 6. 2 plus 6 is 8. So negative 6 subtract 2 is negative 8. Because if we go down, but the distance itself is 8 spaces. So I'm okay if you put negative 8 in there, or if you put positive 8, because when you square it, it's still going to be a positive. And then just simplify. 1 plus 64 is 65. And then that will be units. And the square root of 64 is 8 exactly, so square root of 65 will probably be about 8.1 units, but you could type it in to your calculator to double check. All right, that is the distance formula using the graph. Oh, nope, we're going to do one more, a greater difficulty. Do not let the radical signs freak you out. Now, you might not just be able to some of you might be able to, but some of you may not. So if you need to, the second x is root 6. Subtract, because the formula subtract, well, that's negative root 6. Subtract a negative is the same as adding a positive. So now what we're going to have, and that's going to be squared, we have one of those and another one of those. So that's going to be 2 root 6, and we need to square that. All right, we're going to keep going. And now, for our y's, 4 subtract 1 is 3. Now this is where you're going to have to be very careful. 2 squared is 4. Root 6 times root 6 is 6. 4 times 6 is 24. 3 squared is 9. When you add those together, you get the square root of 33. 33 is not prime, but it only has 3 and 11 besides itself and 1. 3 and 11, and both of those are prime, so square root of 33, and then you're going to put units on the outside and then say approximately. Well, think about this. 6 is the square root of 36. 5 is the square root of 25. 33 is much closer, so I'm going to guess that's about 5.7 something. So let's type in square root 33, and that is about 5.744, but that will round to 5.7 units. So this method right here is a way you could do it if your teacher does not allow you to use a calculator on exam. And my guess is that as long as you're pretty close, you're going to be granted most points. All right, that's the distance formula.